All right, welcome in, you guys. We got One Piece chapter 1150 brief spoilers here with us today. That is right, we're here on a Monday, a day early, because the spoilers apparently are just that damn hype. So, to kick things off, also, if you have not read the spoilers for yourself though yet, I will be linking it down in the pinned comment, so feel free to check it out there, and I'll also be linking over to the source as to where I found them. But, on to the chapter. Emu is pretty damn strong, believe it or not, right? I mean, surprise, surprise, the final villain is cooking people in this chapter. So, when Emu arrives, they immediately unleash a Conqueror's Haki wave. So strong that giant kids and the giants over at the village and in the forest, they start getting knocked out. Nothing super surprising, right? This might be the first time we've ever seen a giant be knocked out due to Conqueror's Haki, but not surprising. You know, we knew that Emu had Conqueror's Haki well beforehand, so this is just them flexing a little bit. But what they do next is pretty insane, because Dorry and Broggy, by this point, have made their way to Emu. They're gonna be the first Emu opponents in the story as we know it. So Dorry and Broggy try to attack Emu, but this is when Emu just schools them. Emu whips out a magical book, conjures weapons, and ends up stabbing and shooting, I believe it's Broggy. I'm getting them mixed up. Yes. Gonko-Emu stabs and shoots one of Broggy's arms. What? A magic book? What is Emu doing here, right? So Emu is already displaying powers that we're not exactly familiar with. It's kind of like we're fighting a dark magician, for example, right? Emu is just whipping out books and spells and what have you, man. And this does remind me, I think Oda is doing a callback here, but this does remind me of one of Oda's first villains in One Piece. He eventually got scrapped because Oda reiterated One Piece again afterwards, but it reminds me of Spiel. Spiel is this goofy magician that Luffy fought back in Romance Dawn, and he had the ability to conjure weapons and do spells, and this is exactly what it's reminding me of. It feels like Oda is going back to his roots in a weird way. So yes, Emu is whipping out magical books, attacking the giants, and after he seemingly schools Dorry and Broggy, he whips out a new technique called the Devil's Contract. And with this, he declares that Dorry and Broggy must become the new kings of Elbaph because Elbaph is currently kingless. Which sounds pretty absurd. You know, it's something that Dorry and Broggy wouldn't exactly agree with, but it looks like they got no choice. Because what happens is that this Devil's Contract ends up transforming Dorry and Broggy and a couple of the giants behind them into demon monsters in exchange for a small amount of their lifespan. Brother, what is going on here? This doesn't even sound like One Piece, right? Magic books, conjuring weapons, devil contract. Like, this is insane. So yeah, Dorry and Broggy do end up becoming giant monsters, and now they are wreaking havoc here in Elbaph. And at the end of the chapter, we can see Emu commanding the entire demon giant army, and his main objective right now, believe it or not, is to kill Elder Jarl. Why? What did Jarl do? Man, I was reading these spoilers, and when I got to that last bullet point, I was like, yo, what? Jarl was agreeing with you. Jarl was willing to burn down the school and the library. Why has Emu set off to kill him? Maybe because Jarl was acting as the leader, maybe because Jarl is the oldest giant alive, or maybe he knows some dirty little secret about King Harold. We're not too sure, but Emu is on his way to kill that old man. And I'm gonna be honest, dude, like, Jarl is not gonna survive that fight, so hopefully somebody gets in Emu's way. But I don't know, like, Dorry and Broggy, it sounds like they got no diffed. Not only did they get no diffed, but they got turned into monster demons right afterwards. Who can actually beat Emu? I don't know. You know, obviously we need Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Loki to come up to the Sun Realm right away. We need them ASAP. But here in the Sun Realm already, we don't exactly have a lot of heavy hitters that can fight the final villain. Like, the only character I can think of right now that is free to an extent would be Chopper, but he jumped down to save Scopper Gabon. And then there's also Frankie. But we don't know where Frankie is. Last we saw, Frankie was with Dorry, Broggy, and Ripley. So maybe Frankie's going to step in after Dorry and Broggy. But how good is Frankie actually going to do? Yeah, I'm a Frankie fan. I like Frankie. But going against somebody who just no-diffed Dorry and Broggy and turned them into monsters, I just think he doesn't stand a chance. These are powers literally beyond our comprehension. So I saw additional spoilers alongside these. I don't know if they're confirmed or not, but it does come from a pretty reliable source. But they say, from within Gunko, Emu emerges as a true demon, complete with demonic wings, a trident, and get this, an arrow-shaped tail. Emu looks almost exactly like the monster in the Elbaph mural. And you can't really distinguish a gender from this form as well, is what they're also saying. But yeah, guys, it's here. The devil cartoon theory might be correct, right? He does remind me of the devil from Cuphead, the devil you typically see in old school cartoons, Rubber Hose animations. And that right there is essentially just what Emu is, right? He is this devil that can essentially bend reality, right? And yeah, now that we know that Emu can give people demonic transformations via the devil's contract, it makes so much sense as to why the Gorosei all have weird transformations. Not because they ate a mythical devil fruit. No, because they signed a contract with Emu. So now that we see that this is possible, I would not be super shocked if all the Holy Knights actually had these transformations too. I would be shocked if they did not sign the devil's contract. And also, this does bring into question Shamrock's sword. Maybe Emu can also make inanimate objects sign contracts too? Because Shamrock's sword, the Cerberus, it didn't have a devil fruit moniker when he brought it out. So yeah, Emu can just make things transform into genuine monsters. Absolutely insane. And this does make me wonder the dynamics of it, right? How many people entered this contract willingly versus being forced into it like Dorry and Broggy? Like the Gorosei, for example. What if there is a world where the Gorosei are good people, but they were forced to sign the contract, and now Emu controls their lives, right? With this devil's contract as well, I think this might be how and why certain characters are immortal, because they signed the contract with Emu. Like the Gorosei, for example, right? They all had these demon transformations, and they're all seemingly immortal. They don't really age. Granted, they got stuck in like their 80s and 90s, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like if I was immortal, I'd want to be stuck in my 30s, right? Just put me right there. Don't age me a day up anymore, man. I'm good, right? Yeah, Emu is making a lot of moves here in Elbaph, brother. And this is funny because I think last week, and even the week before that, and the week before that, I wasn't complaining, but I simply stated the reality that the Straw Hats and the Giants of Elbaph all outnumber the villains. It's as simple as that. I was like, okay, dude, we got 3 Holy Knights, 4 when Shamrock was here, and we got like 10 Straw Hats, Scopper, we got Dorry and Broggy. Like, we had too many people on our side. But now that Emu can seemingly convert people to his side, things have changed. Dorry and Broggy are evil right now. And I wonder if there's a way to actually break this spell too, right? I mean, signing a contract with the devil, you can't generally break those in fantasy stories. So what's the goal here? Like, what do we do? And not just that too, but now that Dorry and Broggy are villains, I do think this perfectly opens up a spot where Usopp can slide in. Maybe I'm coping, but, Usopp, dude, those are his heroes. This is his island. Usopp, do something. You know what I mean? Like, at first, people were like, oh, maybe Usopp's going to fight Loki. Maybe something's going to happen there. But Loki's a good guy, so I doubt that's going to happen now. But now that Dorry and Broggy are villains, maybe we need Sniper King to save the day. I don't know how, when, or why he's going to do it, right? We're going to have to push Usopp to do that, but maybe this is where he steps in. But yeah, man, things are just getting absolutely crazy, and we need Luffy here. We need the Sun God to show up and try to fight Emu. But will that even work? Like, Emu is that guy. Like, at first I was like, okay, maybe Emu's a little bit rusty because they haven't fought in a while. Maybe 900 years holed up in a room just really did a lot of damage to him. But it sounds like he's coming out here swinging. He sounds like a scrappy fighter. And the funniest thing about the Emu versus Luffy matchup is that Emu has fought Joy Boy in the past. Emu knows what Sun God Nika is all about. Like, if Luffy whips out Gear 5th, nothing Luffy would do against Emu would exactly shock him. Like, against Kizaru, against Lucci, and the Gorosei, like, they're kind of shocked whenever Luffy whips out crazy and zany abilities. But for Emu, he's seen it all before, you know what I mean? So there's a chance that Luffy shows up and he can't do anything, or, you know, maybe he has to find a way to level up, or, you know, do things that are just too random for Emu to even predict. But yeah, man, Elbaph has really taken a turn. You know, we went from saying, hey, you know, Elbaph is lacking a big bad villain, to, hey, Emu is here and he's transforming our friends into monsters. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. And, you know, forget bringing Gunko back for a minute, right? Because that was the big talking point coming off the last chapter. Like, oh, how are we going to get Gunko back to her senses? How are we going to sever that connection? But now, another more pressing question pops up, and that is, how do we save Dorry and Broggy? You know, how do we break their contract with Emu? Holy crap. Like I said, man, if these weren't trusted sources, I would just assume that these spoilers are fake. I mean, there's just so much happening that we just have never seen in One Piece before, and what a time to be alive. And also, the last bullet point that they mentioned here in the spoilers says that the demon giants, not only are they stronger, but they are now the size of oars. The giants got more giant. What is Emu doing? I'm excited, brother. I can't wait to see the images. Dude, a monster version of Dorry and Broggy, huh? Apparently, some people are kind of memeing. I don't know if it's a joke or if the leakers are being serious about it, but I have heard some people describe their transformations as the embodiment of the blue and red ogre. So if they turn into demon ogres, I do think that would be pretty damn sick. Man. But with that being said, let me know, what do you guys think about these spoilers down below? What do you think about everything that's happening? If you guys have not watched Romance Dawn or read Romance Dawn, the one with Spiel, one of Oda's first villains, you should definitely check it out, because it kind of seems like Emu's moving like them, in my opinion, right? Just whipping out actual magic, doing crazy things, conjuring weapons, because that is what Emu is moving like, brother. And yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow or the next day. We don't know when these spoilers are going to drop. You know, nobody expected a Monday drop, but here we are. So maybe more spoilers come out tomorrow, maybe the next day. Either way, stay tuned, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And, yeah, drop your theories and opinions down below. Peace out.